This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Kyle Schwarber plays villain. 2 home runs. He spoils the Twins' Field of Dreams experience in Dyersville, Iowa tonight. 7-1, that's your final. Back to 60 and 63 on the year. What's going on back at the lab? Back at it. Another Twins postcast, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making this the #1 sports podcast network. CJ Baumgartner with me, as always, on X, at BombCJ30. Got to go check him out right after this over in the Locked On Twins show. He's got that 30-minute daily dose breaking down everything Twins related. You got me, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. Lots to get into here. Biggest turning point, biggest second guess, kind of where it all went wrong, nerdy stat of the day, plus what we'll be talking about tomorrow. But just off the top, Dyersville, Iowa, we go. Field of Dreams game. Super cool production value going on before this one started. Great content, great interviews all the way around. More on that here in a little bit. But Taj Bradley got the go for this one. Not great for Taj tonight. 4 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned, 3 Ks, 4 walks on 89 pitches. Kyle Schwarber hit not 1 but 2 out. That kind of busted things open early in the 4th inning. That made it 5-1. Luke Keyshaw, he stays hot. Solo shot, 7th of the year. But once again, Twins struggle with runners in scoring position. 0 for 5 tonight with 9 runners left on base. Not going to get it done versus a very tough Phillies team. Not to mention Aaron Nola's knuckle curve was diabolical tonight. That thing was on a heater. 9 Ks in total. I think at least 8 of them came on that knuckle curve. But how are we feeling right now, CJ? What's your kind of big picture, big takeaway from this one?
Well, on a nationally televised game, the Twins had an opportunity. They've been spunky all year. You've kind of heard people from around baseball nationally go, oh, hey, those Twins, they're buying at the deadline. Look at them. They're defying expectations. Let's see what they're all about. And then you just have a complete flat, fall on your face, a dud kind of a game. I'm not questioning effort, whatever. You can't. But I mean, just a really poor game from them all around, from Taj Bradley, the bullpen not really clamping things down, and the lineup just going lifeless outside of one Luke Keyshaw swing. Just a complete missed opportunity to showcase yourself on a national stage as a team that wants to compete, and that's what the Twins want to do from ownership on down. They've made the point all year that they want to compete with the big boys. They want to do all of this, and then for them to fall flat on their face like they did today, not that it's like season ending or anything, but just completely frustrating and a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just not a very competitive game from start to finish, as you mentioned. I want to get to the biggest turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I feel like you got 2 options. Both of them happened in the 4th inning. Pretty much bang, bang. Brandon Marsh steals second, called out on the field, gets overturned. This is with 2 outs, so that would have been the 3rd out. And then Schwarber gets up to bat a couple batters later, and Luke Keyshaw had a chance to make SportsCenter top 10 and rob Schwarber from his second home run of the night. Hit his glove, not only hit his glove, but then ricocheted out over the fence. Not what you want to see at all from Keyshaw. You could see it on his face. Didn't feel good seeing that ball go over the fence. But you got to pick one, or is there a third wild card? Maybe I'm forgetting.
Yeah, obviously that Keyshaw play, a big one in the game. Maybe it's going out regardless, but it certainly doesn't look good. But no, I think my biggest turning point in the game was to get a little bit later on. And Royce Lewis comes up with the bases loaded, 2 out. It looks like they have Aaron Nola on the ropes. Royce comes in as the tying run. Matt Vasgersian says it on the broadcast. He hit 4 grand slams in 2023, like within a month of each other, and all that stuff. And then, again, Nola had walked guys. He was not looking sharp, and really just was a guy where if you're patient, if you're waiting for the pitch, if you try and let the moment come to you, maybe you're hit a grand slam, but at the very least, you're going to keep the line moving. And Royce just had a completely unserious at bat in that one. Knuckle curve first pitch. Royce is thinking he's getting a fastball down the middle. It's Aaron Nola. He's a veteran. He trusts his stuff. Like you talked about, it was nasty today. Boom, gets him right there. All right, Royce is already off his edge. Then Nola comes in with the fastball, catches the corner. Really good pitch. I don't blame Royce for not swinging at that one, but still, now you're down in the count 0-2, and then right back to that knuckle curve. waving at for strike three. Just again, I'm not arguing so much with the result, but it's just a process of that at bat where it's like you have a guy who can't find the strike zone. And I understand you're trying to take advantage, you're trying to be aggressive, but that's knowing the pitcher that's on the mound. Aaron Nola is a veteran. He's been in big spots before. He's not rattled. He's going to trust this stuff and know the scouting report that Royce is going to chase. And for Royce, he just couldn't help himself. And I think that he just kind of lost his place there for a moment and should have just probably tried to have a little bit more of a team at bat in that one. I understand one swing ties the game, but you got to chip away at it somewhere, and that would have been a good spot to do so. And he strikes out on 3 pitches, and they leave with nothing, and that's pretty much the game.
That's a good call out for sure. That was the final kind of just pin that dropped, it felt like, for the Twins tonight. Their real only chance, it felt like, to come back and put up a crooked number. Taj Bradley, though, 4 innings, 7 hits, 5 earned, 3 Ks, 4 walks on 89 pitches. And listen, I mean, Kyle Schwarber is a problem for anybody. I get that. But clearly we got a big enough sample size now where this dude, he's just got Taj's number, it feels like. What are you supposed to do if you're Taj? And you know, what else was he just kind of struggling with tonight, I guess?
Yeah, you know, Kyle Schwarber's a really good player, obviously from his rookie year with the Cubs all the way up to some of the big moments he's had in his career. You know, sometimes that happens. You know, sometimes a guy just gets to you. Sometimes a guy is your number. And if it's a guy as good as him, you live with it and try and move on. I think for Taj, the biggest problem is just the inconsistency, because we know what Taj Bradley looks like when he's on. He's a guy that can pump 100 in the 4th inning, get it in a spot he wants to, get guys to strike out. He could have pitched 7 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts, and I'm like, oh, Taj Bradley doing Taj Bradley things. And he could have a start that looked exactly like it did tonight. And you go, oh, yeah, Taj Bradley doing Taj Bradley things. There's still a lot of volatility in his game. When it works, I mean, we've seen it. We know it works. And when it doesn't, it's just he's not able to control. Has a lot of walks, a lot of long at-bats at a 32-pitch first inning, just a lot of things that linger and a lot of things that kind of just make him labor, put him in bad positions, and just ultimately too many base runners for him to have to try and dance around. And when he's not hitting his stuff, you're not going to quite get those strikeouts because, well, you're just not locating the pitches exactly where you need him to. So overall, for Taj, I thought that he just is one of those games where he just couldn't find the strike zone, and against a lineup like the Phillies have, they make you pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last night. 3 games ago, Bailey Ober gets shelled early. Zebby Matthews last night gets shelled early. And now tonight, your kind of only horse, your go-to, you feel a little bit consistent as far as Taj Bradley getting out of the mound. He gives you that Jekyll and Hyde experience, as you just mentioned. So not feeling great right now lately as far as this starting rotation goes. Let's get into who fudged up the most. Maybe a good segue here.
Uh-oh, somebody messed up, and it's time to let them know with who fudged up.
You mentioned Taj, his struggles. You mentioned the struggles at the plate. 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position, 9 left on base. Not going to get it done. Was there one key play, one guy specifically, one sequence of events, whatever it may be? Who fudged up the most today for the Twins?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to pick on it, but I got to go back to that Royce Lewis at bat. That's just where it sticks with me of like, you have a spot, big moment in the game to try and do something. I know Keyshaw had the home run that bounced off the glove, and it looks unfortunate. But again, it's hard to tell if that ball would have gone out regardless, because Keyshaw did leap up. He was either going to rob the home run or it was going to be gone. Yeah, it was just unfortunate that he couldn't make the play. It would have been a really nice play if he had made it. Whereas Royce Lewis is in that spot where it's like, that's just one where he just got out over his skis on what he needed to do and put himself in a bad position and messed up the team in kind of their last gasp. I think you can put the team overall, but somebody's got to wear it tonight. Unfortunately, it's Royce in that situation.
Yeah, well said there. Plenty more deep dive. Don't go anywhere. Biggest second guess, nerdy stat, plus what we'll be talking about tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Amazon. A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break, this back-to-school season. You got to spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy this back-to-school shopping experience can be. Starts with a few items on the list. Suddenly you're shopping for supplies. You're shopping for clothes. You're shopping for lunch gear. You're shopping for tech. Shopping for about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It adds up pretty quick, especially when you buy clothes for back to school. Then your kid has a growth spurt 2 weeks later. You're right back to where you started. Sometimes it genuinely feels like they're growing faster than your budget can keep up, or when the teacher supply list arrives and somehow every item feels completely reasonable on its own, separately, sure. Then you add everything together, you realize just how much stuff one kid needs for just one school year. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids. All right, CJ, let's get into the biggest second guess we got from this one.
Since hindsight is always 20/20, let's deliver today's second guess.
I don't know. This one's tough. In a game you lose by 6, but any big what if today, any move, decision, big or small sequence of events, anything that's just sticking out right now that you want back the most, especially just knowing how everything played out the way it did.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple that come to mind. One is, I know Byron Buxton emerged from the corn today, and that was great. It was an awesome moment. I'm glad Buxton could be in uniform and be a part of this game. Did not go on a minor league rehab assignment and still kind of looked, there were a couple times he was running where it just still looked like he's trying to kind of get his legs back underneath him. So glad Buxton's in the lineup. Hopefully, with the off day tomorrow, see where things are at and kind of slowly work him back, because this is a Twins lineup that certainly needs him back. But was he rushed back a little bit? Did he rush himself back a little bit? That's maybe just a second guess to think about in this one, especially because I know he had the fielder's choice, but there wasn't a ton of kind of super big highlight worthy plays out of Buxton in this one. Today, I know that he had a moment here or there, but still, again, when you need the lineup to have the firepower, didn't quite have it. Maybe with a rehab game or two, kind of just help him get back into the swing of things. The other second guess, though, I have is just why isn't Walker Jenkins at this game, which again, you're facing Nola. I get it that he probably wouldn't have been in the lineup regardless, but still, he had another home run for St. Paul today in where I think it's Des Moines, where the Iowa Cubs play. So he was already in state. It's just one of those where, if Buxton and Jenkins both shared the outfield, maybe that would help the lineups pop just a little bit. So my second guess just is kind of, what are we doing here? Walker Jenkins is about as ready as a top prospect can be, and he should just be up with this Twins big league club.
You love to see Buxton out there in such a unique experience like this Field of Dreams game, but I'm with you. I'm holding my breath every time the dude's got to sprint out of the box. I mean, he beat out a double play ball up first base line, and I'm just thinking, man, at any moment he could start limping or come up lame, and it's just like, yeah, it's probably not worth it. So yeah, you're right. Day off tomorrow. And we'll get into the preview, but day off tomorrow, you wonder maybe they even give him another day rest in that game too. We'll see how it all plays out. How about a nerdy stat? Any crazy stat? Any crazy analytic Twins related?
Well, Luke Keeschall did hit a home run today. Not the biggest home run hitter on the team, but all of a sudden finding that power surge. If you go back to July 1st, Luke Keeschall has now hit 5 home runs for the Twins, an OPS that's plus 900, and just a weighted runs created plus, again, 100 is league average, kind of sitting in that 120s, 130s range, which is a really, really impactful player, like a 325 batting average since July 1st. So I know that if you look at his overall season numbers for Luke Keeschall, you're going to be like, oh, kind of underwhelming season for Keeschall. I thought he was supposed to be this high contact type of player. He had such a bad April, early May that really since June, but mainly since July, he's been that player that second half of the year we all kind of fell in love with and we're excited to see what he can do. He's found it and found a little bit of power as well, hitting 5 home runs now since July 1st.
A lone bright spot as of late in this Twins lineup for sure. Nice to see. Good call out there. Last one, then we'll get out of here. What we'll be talking about tomorrow.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, day off tomorrow. Back at home for game 2. Still in the midst of this kind of 9-game road trip, even though they were in Iowa today, obviously. Connor Prelip back on the mound. I know it's just one game, and I know Aaron Nola was cooking tonight, but pretty tough Phillies team, man. You sit down and watch him, you kind of get it. You see the hype. 9 games above 500 now. What's your top storyline or two you're going to be kind of dialed into the most for game 2?
By the way, this is a Phillies team that fired their manager a month into the year. They were awful the first 4 weeks of the season.
Boston too, right?
Maybe yeah.
That's the thing to do.
Some of these teams, and especially a team like Philly, talent, veteran talent. You just give those guys enough games and things kind of work themselves out. But what we'll be talking about kind of throughout the weekend and really over the next month and a half, the rest of the season, do the Twins have starting pitching that's going to keep them in the playoff race? Because over the last 3 weeks, that answer has been no. Not only just the pitching hasn't been up to snuff from the starting rotation, but you're giving up leads early. I mean, it's like the fourth game in a row where the Twins starting pitchers are giving up runs in the very first inning. Joe Ryan doesn't look right. Taj Bradley has had a couple rough starts here. And Dean Kramer, all of a sudden, has been your best starting pitcher over the last couple weeks. So it's just one of those where they have a bullpen finally, which is awesome. But if your starting pitching doesn't let you get a lead by the time that you need some alarms, well, then what was the whole point of this thing? It's why I said the Twins should have prioritized one more starting pitcher at the trade deadline. I said that a couple weeks ago. And just the fact that they didn't, and now all of a sudden they're in a tough spot. I know they signed German Marquez to a minor league contract, but I mean, he got just cut by San Diego earlier this week. So it's not like he's a guy that could come up and really provide a ton of spark. This starting pitching concerns me. And if there's anything, even more so than the Twins with runners in scoring position, because that's always a roller coaster, the thing that's going to scare me the most, and the reason why the Twins don't make the playoffs in this very weak American League, would be because the starting pitching just fell apart, which coming into the year was the thing on the roster that was the deepest, which just goes to show you baseball's a cruel game.
You knocked off Field of Dreams off your list, off the bucket list last night. What's your next go-to kind of baseball flick you're going to put in the rotation?
Oh, that's a tough one because there's a lot of baseball movies. I know we were talking about this off air the other day that, you know, haven't circled around to, haven't been able to watch and take in and be able to do that. I have
like
not
the versions
seen
that you watched growing up as a kid that were cool and magical as a kid, like Major League Baseball and Rookie of the Year, Sandlot. And then there's a couple more adultish movies like Moneyball that's got to be in a lot of people's top 3, if not top 5 for sure.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think probably The Natural is one that I do need to get around to watching because I've not gotten around to that yet. Rookie of the Year is another one with the kid who pitches for the Chicago Cubs. I mean, there's so many good baseball movies, but I always just end up watching Sandlot and Little Big League and Moneyball, and I'm like, what more do I even need?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those 3. Solid top 3 right there. We got to get out of here. Kyle Schwarber plays the villain. 2 home runs. Spoils the Twins' Field of Dreams experience tonight. 7-1. That's your final. 60 and 63 on the year. Got to go check out all CJ's work on X at BombCJ30. Plus, you got to go check him out over on the Locked On Twins podcast. Each and every day, he's got all your daily Twins content. Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Again, day off tomorrow. Back at home for game 2. 6:10 first pitch. Connor Prelip on the mound. Until then, though, thanks for joining. We'll catch you next time.